Our top lead this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a media-mediated world. A world where we are bombarded with information and disinformation every minute. He who controls the media, especially social media, controls the mind and therefore controls the world. There is a reason why political parties deploy so much resources in their social media cells. And there's a reason why governments across the world want to control the media. Controlling the message is important, and you control it via the messenger. Now, last night, as most of us were leaving work, Twitter's former CEO was creating more work for us. He was igniting a storm. Speaking to a YouTube channel, he said that during the height of the farmers' protest and the COVID pandemic, the government pressurized Twitter to regulate opinion critical of the government. He said they were threatened with a shutdown if Twitter didn't comply. Now, it is true that the government wanted Twitter to take down some 1,200 accounts for alleged Khalistani links. Many were blocked, but then restored by Twitter, citing freedom of speech. But question is, why didn't Mr. Dorsey speak up then? Anyhow, an angry government accused Twitter under Dorsey of weaponizing misinformation. In fact, the IT minister has called his claims an outright lie. Listen in.
Well, India is a country that had many requests of us around the farmers' protest, around particular journalists that were critical of the government, it manifested in ways such as we will shut Twitter down in India, which is a very large market for us. We will raid the homes of your employees, which they did. We will shut down your offices if you don't follow suit. And this is India, a democratic country.
Where they were not in compliance with Indian law, they were neither raided, they were neither sent to jail. And so this is a fiction that he has put out there for whatever reasons that he's put out there. But the facts are that the government of India has consistently maintained that any platform, whether they are foreign or Indian, whether they are big or small, must comply with Indian laws if they are to operate in India and offer services and products to the Indian citizens.
Now, Jack's attack has sparked off a full-fledged political war as expected here in India. The Congress is alleging, and I quote, the murder of democracy. They are asking, why would Mr. Dorsey lie?
किस तरह से लोकतंत्र में हर उस आवाज का दमन किया जाएगा जो थोड़ी सी जरा सी भी हिम्मत दिखाएगा? और क्यों डरते हैं मोदी जी? क्यों डरता है इस देश का प्रधानमंत्री? इस देश का प्रधानमंत्री इसलिए डरता है क्योंकि करोड़ों रुपए खर्चा कर कर एक रंगी पुती छवि बनाई गई है, और जब ऐसे सच सामने आते हैं तो वो छवि ध्वस्त हो जाती है और बेनकाब हो जाता है कायर तानाशाह।
देखिए, जो कहा गया है वो झूठ और सफेद झूठ है। वर्षों की नींद के बाद जागे जैक डॉर्से अपने काले कारनामों पर पर्दा डालना चाहते हैं। जब ट्विटर को खरीदा भी गया दूसरे व्यक्ति के द्वारा, तब ट्विटर फाइल्स में खुलासा हुआ कि किस तरह से इस प्लेटफॉर्म का दुरुपयोग किया जाता था, पक्षपात किया जाता था और छेड़खानी की जाती थी। और ये मैं नहीं कहता, ये ट्विटर फाइल्स में आया है।
I'd like to know as to why Jack Dorsey would tell a lie. There's no reason for him to tell a lie. He is not pro any political party. He is not anti any political party. He is not against the government, which is running our country. So why would he tell a lie? He has nothing to gain from it, right? So obviously, when he says that at the time of the farmers' protests, the government threatened that they would close their business and that their employees would be raided at that point in time, there's no reason for him to tell a lie. And there is every reason for others to tell a lie because they can't afford to admit this. And they may also lose their job. So therefore, if they accept it, it'll create a storm in this country, a political storm that they won't be able to handle. And of course, this government always works under pressure. I mean, ensures that people succumb to their pressure.
A quick chat with my guest this evening. R.S. Pathania is leader of the BJP. Joining us on the broadcast, Sanjay Hegde is a senior advocate and Rohan Gupta is spokesperson of the Congress party. I believe he's still not through with us. We'll try and connect with him as soon as possible because it's the Congress that is leading the charge against the BJP as far as this storm is concerned. But Mr. Pathania, let me come to you with the question that Mr. Sibal is asking so simply. He's asking me, hello Rohan Gupta, good evening, I see you as well. Mr. Pathania, Mr. Sibal is asking, look, my point is that why is if there was so much pressure on Twitter by the government of India, and if the government of India was threatening to shut them down, why did Mr. Jack Dorsey not speak up then, right? Why is he speaking up now? That's a big question. Why this sudden Rip Van Winkle syndrome as far as Jack Dorsey is concerned? Why is he talking about it now? But having said that, Mr. Pathania, Mr. Sibal is asking a very simple question. He's asking, why would Jack Dorsey lie? What does he gain out of it? Nothing. He's not even the owner of Twitter anymore.
The statement of Jack Dorsey, this is essentially and fundamentally a white lie. It could very aptly be called as an old wife's fable. And another pimple over an ulcer is that what bonhomie, what camaraderie it has with the Congress and a section of leaders from the opposition political parties. We started with that BBC commentary on Godhra, then Heidenberg, George Soros, Toolkit Gang, and now Jack Dorsey. This chronology is really amusing. What enthuses the interest and the amusement of the people of the Janmanas of Bharat is the timing of this revelation. The formulas are no more in picture. It's as good as a closed chapter. What promotes and what provokes Mr. Jack Dorsey will come with such a so-called sensational claim after, as you aptly said, after sleeping over the issue for just like a Rip Van Winkle and waking up and then making such absurd and baseless allegations. Secondly, what is the credibility of Mr. Jack Dorsey? The Honorable Minister, the Honorable Minister was also referring to it, Mr. Anurag Thakurji, that may very kindly go to the Twitter files. What is his credibility? How he stands impeached, not only vis-a-vis India, but vis-a-vis US and other countries also. How he was...
नहीं ठीक है. His credit... नहीं, Mr. Pathania, ये गोलमोल बात मत करिए. I asked you a simple question. Mr. Pathania, ये गोलमोल बात नहीं. I asked you a simple question.
Please.
Okay, so you're saying he's allied with leftist opinions. He has his own ideology, and that ideology reflected on who was blocked and who wasn't blocked on Twitter. You're also saying the Congress is jumping because their ideology matches with Jack Dorsey, and the Congress and Jack Dorsey are in this together, right? But here's the point, Mr. Pathania, and I'll let the Congress spokesperson come in here. But you do remember. But Mr. Pathania, if there was a camaraderie, then Rahul Gandhi's Twitter account would not have been blocked. Aap bhul gaye that even his Twitter account was blocked. Anyhow, let me quickly get in Rohan Gupta. Yeah, Rohan Gupta, would you want to respond to what the BJP spokesperson is saying here? You know, one time we hear a BJP spokesperson call it Dorsey ke kale karname. Then we are hearing that he is in cahoots with the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi, which is why this statement was made. So why are you calling this death of democracy? He says, the government of India says that Twitter has constantly, constantly weaponized misinformation, as it were.
Shreya, I think you have done half of my job. You have replied to BJP spokesperson. One time they say that Congress and Twitter are together.
Arey bhaiya, don't say that, Mr. Gupta. Mr. Gupta, don't say that. I don't want anyone to accuse me of being a Congress spokesperson or a BJP spokesperson. And I can assure our viewers that we have very capable spokespersons from the Congress and the BJP. I don't need to do their job.
I completely agree with you, Shreya. I will keep you out. I understand. I don't want to create issues for you. But yes, you need to understand one thing. When Twitter banned Rahul Gandhi's account, when it was banned for a few days, we attacked Twitter. I was the social media head then. So how can they say that Twitter and Congress are together? I think they have exposed why he worked under pressure in India. He was a businessman. He was running a social media platform. So he had to succumb to pressure of government. This is the proof of that. Rather than questioning Congress, this is a time for BJP to answer that why they are killing democracy in this country. I just heard BJP spokesperson saying that farmers' protest is over. I think he should remember that 700 farmers have lost their life. And Twitter was the voice of the country during the farmers' protest. So BJP attacked Twitter. So I think this is like killing the democracy of the country, and now they are exposed. And whenever they get exposed, they talk about leftists, they talk about Congress being with these people and all. Why you are not able to answer properly? Congress has nothing to do with him. Now he has sold the company. And now the proofs, whatever Congress party has attacked at the time of Twitter when they banned Rahul Gandhi's account, I think that is now in front of country to decide that what Congress was showing then was right, that Twitter was working under pressure of BJP, under Modi government. That Rahul Gandhi's followers were not increasing. Congress party social media official handles followers were stagnant. So we wrote to Twitter many times. And this is the proof today why Twitter was not able to take any action, or why they were not able to, amplify the voice of farmers. So I think it is shameful moment for this government. The whole world is watching, and the way the country is progressing and the way this government is taking us backwards, I think shameful for this government. I think there should be some honesty left, and now they should do the course correction rather than the crushing the voice which is against them. They should try and.
Okay, Sanjay Hegde, I want you to come in here. I'm not saying the government of the day is Doodh Ka Dhula. Look, every government, whether it's the BJP or the Congress or it's the DMK government in Tamil Nadu, everyone will want to control the media, especially social media, because he who controls the media controls the narrative. It's as simple as that. My point is that I'll just talk about the farmers' protest here. During the farmers' protest, we know that Twitter had asked for the blocking of account of about 1,200 accounts. And Twitter had actually blocked them and then restored them, citing freedom of speech. But the hashtag that the government of India had a problem with and wanted Twitter to block or de-amplify was farmers' genocide. And there was no farmers' genocide, just by the way. So the government of India wasn't wrong, were they, in saying that please comply with the law, please comply with the rules. This is misinformation. You're creating a security situation in this country. Drop it. Where do you see this entire debate? And this debate has played out through the day today, but where do you see it stand as of now?
Well, let me put it this way. I have been equally wronged by Twitter, and I am certainly no rightist, or I'm no supporter of this government. And I was banned much before any of this happened. I took Twitter to court. Twitter spent a fortune in lawyers' fees on the other side to avoid restoring my account. Obviously, they had a motive at that point of time also. Twitter played along with the government for quite some time, till at a stage they said enough and no further. The government of the day, not only with regard to farmers' genocide, but must have had several other requests. Some may have been formal requests, some may have been informal requests. So Twitter, to its credit, actually took the government to court in the Karnataka High Court, saying that these takedown requests are arbitrary and violative of freedom of speech. That judgment has still not come. Twitter and the government are two parts of a triangle. The third part is the people who use the platform, the users of the platform, and the people who vote for the government. These three forces have to be reconciled in a manner that the freedom of speech of the user is protected at all times. Neither the platform nor the government can be the arbiter of the other person's freedom of speech, of the user's freedom of speech. What is required is an independent regulator for the industry, which should be non-political, which need not necessarily be judicial. You can have retired members of the media, retired professors, to look into tweets which are actually harmful. You see, there are all kinds of fake news tweets. Now, your viewers might want to answer, is Achhe Din fake news or is it real news? There will be a question of doubt out there, right? So who is to decide such questions? It can't be left to the government, which would want to control everything. It can't be left to a private corporation like Twitter or Facebook or Insta. That is why I keep saying that you must have an independent regulator.
Okay. I understand what you're saying, but here's my counter question to you. As far as Twitter is concerned, look, again, as I said, it's not like I'm the spokesperson of the BJP or the government in this case. But if during the farmers' protest, yes, it was a time when the government was facing a lot of negative publicity. I'm fairly certain they wanted to control the narrative. As I said, there were 1,200 accounts that the government wanted blocked, and Twitter did block them, and then, of course, unblocked them subsequently, citing freedom of speech. But my point, Mr. Hegde, is here. Twitter did nothing to remove misinformation from its platform at that point of time. It did nothing to remove misinformation even as far as COVID is concerned. There was a lot of, the government wasn't getting everything right. We understand that. But the level of misinformation was as high as Kanchenjunga. My point is, during Capitol Hill riots that break out in the US, Twitter self-regulates and pulls down tweets that are spreading misinformation. They made no such attempt here in India. So when the government of India says, bhaiya, aisa hai, pull these handles down because they are spreading misinformation, Twitter shouldn't have a choice but to comply. That's my limited point.
Okay, now my answer is this, that January 6th is not an apples to apples kind of comparison. On January 6th, there was a live situation, and at that point of time, anything that Trump put out on Twitter could have could have aggravated the riot. At that point, they decided to deplatform him. At a later point, they decided to permanently ban him, but that has now been revoked, and Trump is still not back on the network. In a live situation, yes, the government has the right. Now you asked me about that hashtag farmers genocide. No genocide happened, right? Correct. But how many of the protesting farmers or how many of the people on the ground would even know the meaning of genocide? Or would the word genocide incite them in any particular way? What if there is anything which adds fire to a live situation or directs a live situation? Yes, the Twitter app or any other platform absolutely has to comply. But if the platform is routinely being told, no, you will not allow this, you will not allow this, you will not allow this, at some stage, the platforms have stood up and said, no, this is not free speech as we understand it. And therefore, they didn't go to court on their own. So to avoid such a situation where either the platform or the government is dominant, you need somebody outside the industry who understands both.
Okay. Okay. Quick last word to R.S. Pathania, leader of the BJP. Mr. Pathania, the charge essentially, if you come to the crux of the charge essentially is of online censorship. It's a charge that the BJP has completely rejected. Are you telling me there is no pressure on either mainstream media? Is that the BJP's claim? That there has been no pressure on Twitter, there has been no pressure on mainstream media to, stick to the government narrative many a times? Is that the claim you're making? Because I can tell you that, and this is a figure from Parliament, I'm not making this up. The government has told Parliament that content blocking orders for various social media platforms went up 2,000 times since 2014. So obviously you're asking for content to be blocked. Now, of course, if you want to block an a pro-Pakistani channel that spreads hate against India, I agree. Do it, 100%. It impacts the national security of this country. But if you want to block the handle or control the handle of a journalist who isn't exactly complimentary to the government, then you're essentially clamping down on freedom of speech. This is nothing but censorship. That's the view coming in from the other side. Mr. Pathania, yeah. Mr. Pathania, you're on mute.
Sorry. So my point was the right to information is a fundamental right in India. Every citizen has a right to be informed. The same is the case with that every citizen has a right about being guarded against misinformation also. So this is the only simple point. Once the government, the pressure is that the law of the land, the pressure is the constitutional scheme of the things. The Indian press media, they are subject to the Press Act. They are subject to censorship. They are subject to rules and regulations also. But this is social media, Twitter and Facebook and all the international platforms. If they come out with touch me not, we are sitting and standing on a touch me not citadel. We will go as per our own norm. We will create a narrative of our own. And I take a strong exception to the statement of the Congress spokesperson. They said Twitter represents the voice of the country. Well, 100 accounts which were propagating the Khalistani ideology. And how Twitter played flip-flop on it, and Congress gives a carte blanche to Twitter, that Twitter represents the voice of the country. It's very unfortunate. Should I equate Congress with all that faithful soldiers of General Dyer who massacred, who conducted the Jallianwala Bagh massacre? Now you are massacring the very sacrosanct right of the freedom of speech and expression. You don't want the Indian citizens to be guarded against misinformation. This is very unfortunate. This is amusing. The entire country needs to take a tough note. This is how.
एक मिनट. But Mr. Pathania, सरकार को गुस्सा कब आया था? और ट्विटर के ऑफिसेज इन बैंगलोर एंड दिल्ली, when did Delhi police cops land up there? Only after the tweets of some leaders of yours was tagged with the manipulated media tag. तो disinformation तो आपके अपने खुद लोग फैलाते हैं.
We refute that claim, madam. We refute that claim. It is an accepted fact that from 1920 to 2022, Twitter was guilty of violating the Indian laws. The Twitter was guilty of violating the Indian constitutional scheme of things. Not even a single office was raided. Nobody was arrested. Nobody was pressurized. Let
Please tell
Mr.
me.
Dorsey
No, some of your leaders have used the term Kale Karname of Dorsey. How was Twitter violating India's laws? Please help me understand that.
This is how Dorsey wants to construct a manufactured narrative. This is the Kale Karname. And I want to question the Congress. What love you have with this? Do you want to latch on to the Bharatiya Janata Party and to the India? You can latch up to Bharatiya Janata Party, but please don't latch up for the Indian urge and Indian itch for the process of rule of law. India is governed by rule of law. Nobody can devastate the very concept and the very idea of rule of law on Indian soil. If any internet platform, may it be any social media platform, Twitter, Facebook, they need to conform to the Indian rules and regulation. The pressure is only for conforming to the Indian rules and regulation, not at all to
rules and regulations is okay, Mr. Pathania.
That suits the ruling party, not at all. Not at all. We refute it.
Rules and
absolutely not, and should not be. And
rules and all social media. Okay, Mr. Pathania, all social media platforms need to adhere to the rules of this country. I think they are also completely aware of it. But I hope by the rules of this country, you don't mean rules of the ruling government or the ruling party. Because that is how it is often interpreted. But anyhow, give me a minute here, Sanjay Hegde. Rohan Gupta, just counter the charge that the BJP is making about the Congress being in love with the BJP bashers and essentially country bashers. कि आज का जो attack Dorsey पे है, essentially is not on the ruling government, but it's an attack on the country. And that the Congress is always in cahoots with anti-India people.
And the concept of rule of law in India.
बीजेपी का एक रूल है, मैं ही चोर, मैं ही पुलिस और मैं ही जज. चोरी भी वो करेंगे, पुलिस भी वो बनेंगे और जज भी वो बनेंगे. Anybody who is anti-BJP is anti-India for them. So for them, if you talk anti-BJP, it is against the rule of the law. It is against the country. And once you are against the country, आप गद्दार हो, आप फिदाइन हो. तो यही तरीका है भाजपा का. What are we talking? We are talking about the voice of farmers. When Rahul ji spoke, he spoke for the country. He never spoke for anything else. And when Twitter curtailed the voice of Rahul Gandhi, we opposed Twitter. And now we have reason in front of us why Twitter was forced to do that. When any platform which is a commercial platform, the MD and if he is threatened, if the employees are threatened, what more do you expect from this government? So it's not about online censorship. It shows the attitude of BJP कि हर चीज को कुचल दो, जो उनके खिलाफ हो कुचल दो. आप देश की परिस्थिति को मत बदलो. आप जो आवाज उनके सामने उठती है उसको कुचल दो. फार्मर्स प्रोटेस्ट में 700 फार्मर की जान गई. किसकी जिम्मेदारी? बीजेपी की जिम्मेदारी थी. चीन हमारी सेना में घुस गया, 40 सैनिक मर गए. किसकी जिम्मेदारी थी? बीजेपी की जिम्मेदारी थी. नोटबंदी की लाइन में 100 लोग मर गए. किसकी जिम्मेदारी थी? बीजेपी की जिम्मेदारी थी. क्या ये सब आवाज उठाना देश में गुनाह हो गया? क्या ये एंटी नेशनल है? क्या ये देशद्रोह का काम?
लेकिन एक बात है,
BJP will have
No,
to
but
answer
Mr.
this.
Gupta, I can
Every
tell
time
you
you
this.
cannot have this narrative where
Okay,
anybody who
BJP
is
will have
talking
to
against
answer
Modi
this,
government.
but
Yeah.
okay, but none
Go
of
ahead.
us will buy the argument you made earlier on that that Twitter represents the opinion of this country. It doesn't
Absolutely.
represent
Shreya, my
the
point
opinion of
was,
this country.
I'll
In
tell you,
fact,
I'll
Voice
tell
of
you.
the country.
Shreya,
most of the
Shreya,
opinion
the
on
country
Twitter,
you
I can tell you, is
when
manufactured.
I mentioned
Most
that,
of it, the outrage is manufactured, and
That's
the
it.
opinion is manufactured as well.
Shreya, when
And often it
farmers
can be
protest,
bought.
when
And
the
often
farmers
that
protest was
opinion
going on,
can be bought.
listen to me. Shreya, when farmers protest was going on, there were
Very
videos
humble.
which were posted by farmers, by the protesters on Twitter, right? And it was curtailed by Twitter. So when it is a public platform, then Twitter cannot control it. BJP wanted Twitter to control those videos, to control those contents. We are against that. When I say that, it is yes, people are free to post on Twitter. Indians, when farmers posted on Twitter, BJP wanted that content to be out. That was not anti-national. That was against the BJP. That was against the
Right.
policy of Modi government.
Wonderful.
And when you want any platform which represents
Okay,
people,
fair point.
people have
He
right
sticks to his opinion. He sticks to his
absolutely,
opinion.
I'm
Twitter
sticking
represents
because
the voice
you
of the
net-
country.
Fair point, fair point. I have 10 seconds on the show. I want Sanjay Hegde to come in because he had something to say. Gentlemen, छोड़िए ना ये लड़ाई झगड़ा बाकी और चैनल के लिए.
Indian team requires spin doctors. They require spinners.
Mr. Pathania, Mr.
You are
Gupta.
adept in the. You are.
Okay.
You
Okay.
don't
It's
show
given
the
to the habit of
censorship.
spinning the
Okay.
things, spinning the
Don't
narratives
trust the
also.
voice of country.
Twitter represents
This is
the
the
voice
अरे
of the
रुक
country.
जाइए भाई मिस्टर पठानिया मिस्टर पठानिया एंड मिस्टर गुप्ता ये लड़ाई झगड़ा तो बाकी चैनल्स में भी होता है ना हमारे चैनल में मत करिए हमारा तो छोटा सा चैनल है लेट आवर व्यूअर्स लिसन टू व्हाट द ओपिनियंस ऑफ एवरीवन इंस्टेड ऑफ दिस लड़ाई झगड़ा थोड़ा ये फॉर्मूला पुराना हो गया अब मिस्टर हेगड़े यू वांटेड टू से समथिंग आई हैव 10 seconds on the show but go ahead make your point.
Twitter makes opinions for the country and helps mold opinions. Therefore, it is very powerful. The second point I want to make is that each time they keep talking about the rule of law, what they actually mean is the law of the rulers. We lay down the law and let everybody else follow suit. That is not how a democracy works.
There for the moment. Thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Pathania, good to have you on the show. Sanjay Hegde, good to have you on the show. And Rohan Gupta, good to have you on the show. I wonder when Jack Dorsey made that comment rather casually yesterday evening. I wonder whether he had known or thought that it would spark this amount of fireworks, political fireworks here in India. Well, he'll be waking up to a pleasant surprise, I guess. No one has been talking about him for a long while. We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Slipping into a quick break on the show. Lots more news on the other side. We are tracking Cyclone Biparjoy. That is just about to hit the coast of Gujarat. Heavy rainfall there. There are some people who have died there as well. That's coming up next. Do stay with us.